Hello everyone, welcome to What If Deku was a student of Dio? Or what if Deku was Dio's student? Let's get on with this. As we all know, Dio would have died all the way back in, the Green Seas. The prime of Jotaro. And inevitably was so called dead. Was for so dead. But after years he was not. Just a speck. Or just a bit of living tissue. Or more like, give or take, part of the head was still intact. They threw it in the grave with Dio's name. Dio, after absorbing the rest of it, the rest of the energy from the rest of his body, he would become a full head, and after that, he would go on for years trying to find a good host. But slowly but surely, each host's body would be unpredictable and would inevitably give out every month, making Dio's power weaker and weaker with every transfer. Trying to find a proper body. As years go on, Jarno and everyone else would be at their old age. As now we go to the beginning of quirks. Dio would see the beginning of quirks and see them as more of uselessness. As you know, Dio's always cocky. He would see quirks as useless. He would see that quirks are only there to kind of, give people ranking, or give people, what's the right word? Judgment. Or social ranking. Depending if you have a quirk or not, depends if you're going to be treated badly or not. In the beginning, quirks were outlawed, because, they're the minority at the time. But slowly but surely, Dio started to realize that quirks started to become the majority. And now that 80% of the population has quirks, he sees now it's the other way around. Quirks are now bullying and are in negativities with the quirkless. He sees this as rash and unbelievable. How a race can just judge each other just based on their social standings of power. Of course, he had nothing to say since he somewhat did the same thing. But he did realize, though, his mistakes. Of course, that's not gonna, stop him from making more of those same mistakes, but, yeah, deal's deal. So, he does try to do things once in a while, but, Jarno, out of nowhere, your dad's alive, yeah. Yeah, just, you know what I'm getting at. Practically making you relive your death for eternity, practically. So, yeah. He's not gonna be, in the, public at all. He's in private, all the time. He goes body by body. Anything that can, cover him from any sort of identity, is what he does. He hides in the shadows. And inevitably gains a body that is fit for him, but the power he once had, the stand, is no more. Or he does still have the stand, but it's more of a weakened version. But of course, as he trained the body, it would become powerful. Not to his prime or, above heaven self, but still there, or at least as powerful before he transformed and got the grandpa's blood. So yeah. So still very powerful, just very decreased since don't have the amount of stuff he needs to actually gain all of his things, and he can't just go out absorbing, flipping people left and right, because you got Jotaro, Jarno, practically every other flipping Joestar out there, or Brando practically out there, and not one of them is fond of him. So yeah. He does become wise, he does understand, the differences between quirks, quirkless. He understands the basics of them. He just doesn't, he's not, an entire, scientist on them. He knows the basis, if you have a quirk, you're treated well. If you don't, you're treated like trash. Dio notices the mistakes he made in the past. Still is going to make them, but things that he sees it stupid that how humans or mortals are below him still fight for social rankings. They're both below him, very much so. But they can at least get along. As of course the time comes where, less and less, he starts losing, bodies. Less and less. Until he's kind of stuck into a corner in Japan. He gets stuck. And is unable to gain bodies because, heroes are everywhere. And, pretty sure if someone, went missing, practically, yeah, he can't drink any more blood. So he's kind of stuck, shriveling up. As he walks into a city and makes, camp. He makes, the hideout and whatnot. He scraps the few things he does have to keep him alive. Inevitably, he does, he walks around, walking one day. So one day he's just walking. And inevitably crosses upon a boy on the ground with blood around him. Dio Brando, unknowingly to him, this boy has just jumped off a school building from a very far height. And now we go to the boy. I can never be useful. I'm quirkless. I'm just a stupid deku. There's nothing I can ever do, right? As then he realizes the good memories. The very little good memories he does have at those moments brings him back to reality. I don't want to die. As his hand would grab on to Dio's foot. Help me. As Dio conflicted on what he should do, either take the immortal and absorb his body, but as there are, a lot of heroes around, but since, quirkless and whatnot, not just that, but, not heroes in the vicinity at all, but, outside of the vicinity there are, heroes. And he noticed something. He said he's quirkless. I haven't found one of you mortals quirkless in a while. You may have some use to me, human. As he picks up As not picks up, but he looks down at the boy. I have an offer, young boy, young mortal. This will be your only chance to answer honestly. Do you want power? Do you want to be less useless? Do you want to be useful? Do you want to become more than just human? Do you want something that can make you become number one? So people can stop bullying you and judging you based on your social rankings? Do you want power that can grant you your true wishes that can ever come in the future or present? As in with the regretful words, Midoriya would say, yes. As Midoriya would blank out due to blood lost. And they'll say, Dio does still have followers. The abilities of these followers, I'll say he has a couple actually with useful ones, surprisingly. So there's him, there is Jubba, which has a sentient quirk. I'll explain it later. And the second one is called Perfect, what was it called? I forgot, I wrote it down somewhere. Perfect duplication. That was what it's called. Perfect duplication. Making an exact copy, or duplication as you pronounce it, as human. Meaning that he can practically duplicate people. The exact same personality, anything. With, some minor changes, of course. That will be important for later on. As Midoriya would be dragged up by Dio and his henchmen, as another body would be left there, exact way as it fell, and placed there. As then, showtime. Where am I? Where am I? Do not to worry, mortal. You are fine. You are in great health. Can't say the same for me, though. Who are you? You said you wanted power, did you not? In your last words of breathing. You wanted power to grant your best and darkest wishes. To become number one and to become a true hero, correct? You can become a hero, young one. With the power I can give you. As you know, this is of course Dio's manipulation to practically turn him into a vampire and practically increase his body so he can inevitably take over his body. So yes. Thank you. No need for thanks, mortal. I only did this for my own desires. Of course, out of the kindness of my heart. As thoughts and sayings are said. In thought. As Midoriya would get up and feel a bit stronger than usual, in fact. He would feel like his body weighs a bit more than it should. I mean, give or take 100-pound gained, about 100 pounds. Yeah, give or take, he gained 100 pounds. And this was due to, as you see in the thumbnail, he is technically part stand. So, yeah, that's cool. Now, as you should know, take a look at yourself. As as beside Deku's, somewhat bed, there would be a mirror, and he would hold it. What am I? Why am I a monster? I don't want to be this. I don't. Are you not grateful of the gift I gave you? Were you not grateful that I saved you from certain death? Are you not grateful that I gave you power to grant your dearest wishes? As you know, Midoriya ponders the thoughts. And then he apologizes. I'm sorry. It's not that I'm not grateful. I really am. It's just I don't know about this. What am I now? Am I some sort of monster? What did he do to me? You can say I improved you. Of course, you are no longer human. More of human shape, yes. With the leftover resources I've gained, I wasted all on you. You can say I granted you some sort of... what was the word? Makeshift quirk, you can say. Give or take mutation quirk. Not a quirk though, but it acts like a quirk. But think of this gift 100 times better. Of course, since it came from, the one and only Dio. As you know, with the manipulation within Dio's words, Midoriya would, go on his knees and start, pleading and thanking Dio. And then, he would walk out, or try to walk out the door. As in he would remember the memories, the hatred, the pain, everything he did at the drop. Oh, do not worry, human, mortal. Just fine. My friend here, Jabba. Wait, no, was it Jabba? Stan. I'll call the second one Stan. Stan here made a duplicate of you. Of course, you did agree to my terms, correct? Yes, Dio. Sorry, Mr. Dio. It's Dio Brando. As you know, Midoriya would hear Dio's name in his sleep from not just the sentient of both minds colliding, but at the same time, give or take, hear it from one of his henchmen, either Jabba or Stan. As Midoriya would be stuck like this, in some sort of half-stand, half-human. Or more like 90% stand and like 10% human. Or like 95, give or take, 95%, like 5% human, so yeah. Just due to the face features. So yeah. As Midoriya would remember the hatred, and as Midoriya begins remembering all of the terrible things Katsuki has done to him, Dio would turn on a TV using a remote control. If you're curious, young Izuku, as I saw in your books, they're very fascinating, by the way. If you're curious, young Izuku, I can show you what people really care about you, or how people really think about you. As the news shows up, Izuku Midoriya attempted suicide, failed. found near the school in a puddle of blood. And is now in police custody and is being questioned. Or more like, in the hospital and, being questioned by, the nurses and whatnot. Nurses and, doctors. It was said that there was unknown knowledge that the boy had. Only that he couldn't remember jumping. It only happened. First, he was in the classroom with Katsuki, a classmate of his, and then jumped. Or all he remembers, leaving the door and opening his eyes into a hospital room, unknowing of what actually happened. Midoriya, or technically duplicated, clone Midoriya, was inevitably, sent back home and all that. Of course, Katsuki having, just normal face and having a grin. As the evil Pomeranian, as he is. But in that face, though, in that smirk of a face, Bakugo would also feel regret. And not suffering morally, but blame within his own heart. Those reasons will be, explained later. What? How? As I said, Stan is able to make exact duplicates with some minor changes. And Jibba has the ability to create anything sentient, like rocks and other small objects. But they only work on minimal to at least objects of medium to small sizes, though. All three of us had to work on you just trying to keep you alive, like life support, you humans call it. Inevitably, we are forced to, as you see, change your body significantly, just so you can survive the process of living. As you know, Midoriya would bow down one more time, thanking Dio sincerely. Unknown to Izuku, Dio has other plans up his sleeve. As Midoriya would start to get hungry. Very hungry. And since, practically he has some of Dio's blood in him due to, blood transfer to create a vampire. Unlike Dio, he has a bit more drawbacks. More like instead of just draining the blood, he has to actually eat the body entirely. Or more of lines just organs, but, bonus is time for, the entire body. Practically like a zombie. As his stomach will start growling. As Medea would be given a smirk. You're hungry, yes? Why? As Medea's eyes would start to become cold. Or one of his eyes, since, the other eye is kind of, standified. So, yeah. As one of his eyes became cold, and almost a red or red-like, green-like substance came. As the veins of his eyes became irritated somewhat. As his mouth started to water, dripping with saliva. Why am I so hungry? As Joa would send out a human. Sadly, your resurrection from almost near death caused you to gain new, how do you say, in human terms, a new appetite. Or a new type of meal on the menu. As within seconds, Midoriya, for an entire month of spending the time there, Dio would only be teaching Midoriya how to survive, basically. Not just that, but training on what, the basics of training for the 1 month. As past that 1 month, Midoriya's stomach would nearly be empty, or exactly empty, since he hasn't eaten any humans at all. No human food. Human food doesn't work. Human food, yes, does a very little, vitamins and, gives him very little, resources inside of his body, but really doesn't do anything for him. He would have to eat thousands, and I mean thousands upon thousands of pounds of food just to feel the slightest bit of satisfaction. As when Midoriya's eyes will become completely blocked out and will go in more of a feeding frenzy berserker mode, hungry mode. And the same human, I'll say, give or take, what would this human be called? You know what? I got it. I'll say it would be one of the Yakuza members. As a Yakuza member, after being starved to practically for an entire month, or mostly starved for the entire month, not really starved, but you get the point. Hungry, but, not starving hungry. As Zuko with eyes of blood red, or just white, technically, he would instantly go for the Yakuza member, tearing the head off immediately as blood crosses all of the tiles on the floor and is sprayed on the walls, as if there's just a bloodbath with one body. Blood everywhere, squishing, crunching, slobbering everywhere, as if the echoes of the crunching of the human were not enough. The bits and pieces flying everywhere of flesh and blood and tissue would go all across the room. As finally, Midoriya would be done and would be holding a heart in his hands, and would eat it right in front of Dio. As Dio would be given a grin. Are you ready for your next task, Izuku? Yes, Dio. As, Dio hasn't yet, fully got his entire manipulation into Deku's head yet. Quite yet. I'm giving you a task, and you must complete the task with 100% accuracy of successfulness. Do you accept? Yes, Dio. What is the task? As that is where I would end this video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.